Okay, so I just finished reading the other Slavic book that I referenced when I read the Slavic fairy tales from the Slavic peasants and herdsmen, yeah, and that is Tales from Slavic Myths, and this is by Ivan Hudee. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. So these are more of the myths. So every culture has their own fairy tales, but they also tend to have their own myths, which talk about how the world comes to be. It explains things like the seasons, time, weather, day, night, literally everything is like of how the world works is explained through myths in cultures. Just like science can do it, the Bible is its own story of how the world came to be. Every culture, every religion has their own myth. I don't know what else you call it, story of how things came to be. So these are the Slavic ones. So it starts off with the sun god, who's the overall like main god. And I'm probably gonna say it wrong, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Savrog, the father of gods. He wakes up from his nap because he's been in like this really deep nap, and like comes out of an egg, and he has 3 legs, and he essentially like destroys his 3rd leg, and in destroying the 3rd leg, he creates the world and the gods that then create the animals and the water and the humans and everything like that from this man, or this god, I shouldn't say man, from this god, who then, once he is done breaking his leg, crawls back into his egg and then goes to sleep. But his job is now to sleep and build up that strength and when it needs to happen again. And he is now the sun, and like actual sun, that his son, S-O-N, pulls in a chariot every day across the sky. And his son, and I'm gonna probably pronounce this one wrong as well, but we're gonna try it anyway. I just want to see it to hopefully help. Oh gosh, where is it? Savorich, I want to say. He kind of becomes the overall higher god. He obviously isn't the father of the gods, but he's like the highest one in a way, because he kind of then uses the bits and pieces of his father's leg to create the other gods. So he has that power. And then he also kind of like rules everything. Like even gods will go to him to plea for whatever they did wrong, or for like, say they fell in love with a mortal, which is not allowed. They'll go and plead. Or I did something wrong, let me plead to you to, lesser my punishment. He kind of gives out the punishments. There are all, of course, lots of other gods and goddesses, and their stories are kind of explained here. Like, for example, how we got the goddess of art, music, and I think it's poetry, because Slavic fell in love with a mortal, which of course we already know is not okay. So he kind of snuck around with another god, a goddess, to get her the liquid of the gods to grant her immortality, so she could then become a god, and like removed her handprint from the underworld so that way they can't like kill her. Probably can't say that. Oh well, we did. Anyway, so there's stories like that. There's an explanation why they don't have a god or goddess of spring, or no, they have a goddess of spring, summer and winter, but they don't have one of autumn. And there's a story to explain that. But again, it's pretty much explaining, it's their way of explaining how the world works. And I found that very interesting. It's different than the fairy tales, because those are fairy tales. And those are usually told to teach lessons or morals, things like that. This is to teach how their world works. And at the end, it's actually kind of interesting because then it has one last story of why the gods have disappeared or why they have hidden themselves from the mortal. But it says that like they're still waiting, and eventually the world will go back to these ancient gods and honoring them, because as the world goes on, things change. We have developed many, many different religions. And as I said, every culture has their own. You have the Greeks, you have the Romans, you have the Druids, you have the Celts, you have like all the Nordic, all these different religions that have kind of, these ancient religions that have kind of disappeared from the world because we don't honor those gods the same way anymore. We still tell their stories, we tell them as the myths, but people don't tend to honor them, or maybe they do and I haven't seen it. That's possible too. It's possible too. So I do find it very interesting. And of course, some of the gods, you have similar gods in all cultures. Like there's the god of thunder, who you see, well, the one in Slav, he's like god of thunder and lightning because he also has like lightning bolts, but it's more described as thunder. But you have Zeus in the Greek, who is the god of lightning, and Thor, pretty sure it's Thor in the Nordic, who is the thunder. So, and then like Odin is the father of all gods. In this one, you have a father of all gods. So you do see common elements between all of the different cultures and ancient gods and goddesses. You do see similarities across all of them. There are still differences as well, as different cultures need different things. Like you're not going to find, you know, I don't even know what I was trying to get, but like the Greeks are going to have different concerns because they have different weather, they have different soils than the Slavs. That's what I was trying to say. Like, so they might have different gods for those type of things. But overall, no, there's still a god for fertility. There's a god of wind. You know, you can find similarities across all cultures. And I found that very, very interesting, which is like why I like to read all the different myths. I also have a book from when I went to Hawaii that has like all the different Hawaii myths, which was really interesting as well. So as you guys, well, you may or may not have known if you've seen the other videos, I really enjoyed the Percy Jackson books as well. And what are the ones that I just read? I read the Red Pyramid ones. He also has one that's following the Norse, which I might check out. I have a lot of other books that I need to check out first, though. Gotta start working on that Battle of the Books list. So, anyway, I really enjoyed this. This also was a loan from a friend, so she's probably going to be very happy to be getting it back because I've had it for a while. Sorry. As I said, we are reading the books that our friends have lent us, so we can finally get those back. All right. Happy reading.